You ever have one of those days when you think you're just going to take care of business walk in, handle a problem, move on, and then the universe sucker punches you right in the gut? That's how it started for me. Victor Langston, a guy who doesn't believe in luck or fate or any of that meant to be nonsense, just numbers on a spreadsheet, contracts signed in ink, and the cold comfort of deadlines met. You know what I mean? My reputation was built on being ruthless. At 57, I was the guy folks called when they wanted things handled. No space for sympathy in my world, just evictions, acquisitions, and a Mercedes with the kind of leather seats that make you forget other people's problems exist. So when my property manager handed me that folded unit 3B, 3 months behind, problem tenant, I just nodded, took the eviction notice, and headed across town. The house was once grand, now slumping under peeling paint and too many lost dreams, but that didn't faze me. My plan was simple: knock, serve, walk away. Except the door opened before I could even reach for the bell, and suddenly I was face to face with two little girls in blue dresses, matching ribbons, dark hair. They stared up at me with those big, searching eyes, and for a second, I forgot what I'd come to say. "Is your mother home?" My voice, which could freeze a room, came out softer than I meant. The older girl, Lily, I'd learn later, lifted her chin like she was ready to take on the world, but she just shook her head. Said her mom had promised to come back last week. The younger one, Leia, stepped closer, voice trembling. "Please don't take our home. Mommy said if anything happened, Mr. Langston would help us." I almost laughed, thought it was some kid misunderstanding, until she reached in her pocket, pulled out a wrinkled envelope, my name on it, and I swear I hadn't seen handwriting like that in more than a decade. I opened it right there, hands shaking a little. Inside was a note. "Victor, if you're reading this, it means I'm gone. I didn't want to ask like this, but they have no one else. Their names are Lily and Leia. Please take care of them. Signed, Elena Martinez." The world spun. I hadn't thought about Elena in years, not since she was a tenant in one of my first buildings. Fierce, funny, always talking about second chances. We'd had a brief, messy, beautiful thing, then I got the big New York deal and left her behind. I told myself it was business, timing, life. Never looked back. "Where's your mom?" I asked, and the girls just shook their heads, eyes brimming with something I couldn't name. "She said she had to fix something," Leia whispered. "She never came back." I walked into the apartment, no TV, no lights, just two tiny beds, a few empty cereal boxes, and a note taped to the fridge with instructions on microwaving leftovers. The smell of lavender trying and failing to mask the desperation in the air. I looked at the eviction notice, folded it, then tore it up, didn't even think twice. Brought them food from the diner on the corner. Sat at the kitchen table, stiff as a board, watching them eat like they hadn't had a real meal in days. Noticed how they stayed close, whispered before they answered, always looking toward the door like maybe, just maybe, their mom would walk through. That night, I called every hospital I could think of. No sign of Elena. Called a private investigator, told her, "Find her, and don't make this public." Then I spent the night in my penthouse, digging through an old box, finding that photo of me and Elena outside some cheap coffee shop, her arm around my waist, her smile like she knew all my secrets. I couldn't help but wonder if she'd ever meant to tell me she was pregnant. If maybe those girls know. I stopped myself. Did it matter? The next morning, I was back at the townhouse. The girls were still there, waiting. "Are you taking us away now?" Lily asked. I knelt beside her, heart pounding. "No," I said. "I'm taking you somewhere safe." Called my housekeeper, told her to clear the guest wing. "We have family coming." Never thought I'd see my penthouse full of teddy bears, coloring books, and tiny shoes. 3 days later, I'm standing barefoot on the marble floor, pouring cereal for two girls in fleece blankets, their hair wild from sleep. They looked at me like I was a superhero, or maybe just a lifeboat. No tantrums, no questions, just hope, and that made it so much harder because I still didn't know what the hell I was doing. That night, the private investigator called, her voice low, serious. "Victor, I found Elena. She's in a coma. Car accident. No ID. She's been at the county hospital, Jane Doe, almost 3 weeks." My stomach dropped. All this time, she'd been alive, fighting for her life while her kids waited alone. I drove there, alone, And when I saw her in the ICU, tubes everywhere, face battered, but somehow still hers, I felt like the world narrowed down to that one hospital bed. I sat by her side and whispered, "I'm sorry. I should have stayed." She didn't move. 2 days later, the DNA results came back. I stared at that envelope for what felt like forever. Biological father not a match. I wasn't their dad. Not even related. For a second, I thought my knees would give out, ashamed for hoping, confused about what to do now. But then I thought about Lily's little hand in mine, Leia's soft voice, "Please don't take our home." And it didn't matter anymore. They weren't mine by blood, but they were mine now. That night, I sat them down in my study, no staff, no audience, just us. "There's something I need to tell you," I said, kneeling so we were eye to eye. "I'm not your real dad. I don't know if your mom will wake up, but I want you to know I am not going anywhere. You don't have to be afraid." Leia started to cry. Lily hugged me, so tight I thought I'd break. "I knew you were good," she whispered. Weeks passed. Elena pulled through, slow and unsteady, her memory full of holes. I visited every day, brought photos of the girls, read to her, tried to help her piece things together. One morning, she looked up, tears in her eyes. "They're my nieces," she whispered. Her sister had died giving birth to them. She wasn't supposed to raise them, but she couldn't leave them. So she came to me remembering a promise I'd made long ago, that if she ever needed me, I'd help. Let me back up a sick life's funny like that, isn't it? You make a promise, thinking you'll never have to keep it, and then the universe circles back around. 6 months later, the adoption papers went through. I became their legal guardian. Elena moved in, not as a guest, but as family. The townhouse that once held nothing but silence now rang with laughter, piano lessons, science projects, bedtime stories echoing down the hallway. Some days, I catch myself leaving my phone behind, making pancakes in my bathrobe, learning to braid hair, not caring what my board thought about it. The guy who'd come to throw out 2 kids walked away with a home he never knew he needed. And maybe that's the twist. Sometimes family is the promise you keep, not the one you're born into. So yeah, I went there to evict someone. I left with my heart full, my life changed, and 2 little girls who'd never have to worry about a place to call home again. Now let's stir the pot. What would you have done, standing in my shoes? When is doing the right thing just about being human? And when does it mean breaking your own rules? Drop your thoughts below. Let's hear your take on family, justice, and all the gray areas in between.